Alright, well, this is going to be the second part in the series on mental health. And I suppose this one should be entitled Mental Health, the Context. Now, you cannot really talk about mental health without talking about capitalisms, but I don't want to get into it too deeply because it is complicated, and anybody who's bothering to watch this would probably fucking fall asleep. So basically, capitalism is a system we all live under, and we're all oppressed by, exploited by, and alienated by. And we can't avoid that. We can't escape it. Doesn't matter how much escapism we indulge in, we can't escape the system. The system shapes us from birth. And it shapes our behaviour, it shapes our psychology, it shapes our mental health. In fact, when capitalism expanded rapidly in the 19th century, the Industrial Revolution, that expansion coincided with an explosion in mental health problems. And that's where you got the asylums system. Asylums were built to house the people that capitalism destroyed mentally. Suddenly you had all these masses of people forced into workplaces in horrendous conditions, exploited, oppressed and alienated in the most abusive way, and their mental health just was ruined by that. You had all kinds of problems thrown up by that, and the powers that be, the government, they had to create the asylum system where they could just dispose of people. Really, it wasn't treatment as such, not at first. They were just discarding people, just get them out the way. Anyone that cannot cope, get them out the way, so we can carry on exploiting everyone else. And that's because of capitalism. And so yeah, capitalism, it impacts profoundly and fundamentally on our mental health. So you can't really talk about mental health without looking at the context that mental health sits inside, which is capitalism. I was shaped by capitalism. I don't blame capitalism for all my faults. Obviously, I have independent thought and I have to be responsible for my own actions. But I am fundamentally shaped by capitalism, and I have to understand that as well as understanding my behaviour and my actions. So yeah, born into capitalism, born into the working class, talking about myself here, but also talking about millions of other people at the same time. Born into the working class, raised in a family unit. Even the family unit isn't normal. Children owned by parents, shut off from the outside world. Parents, dictators really. They're your first tyranny in life. They control you. They mould you from being a baby, you know. They can do what they like with you, within reason. The law only gets involved if it's fucking serious shit, you know what I mean? But your parents can fill you full of mad ideas. You don't go to school till you're, 4, 5? And by then, you've had a lot of experience. And if your parents are shit, fucking hell, that's going to impact on you. And my parents were shit, believe us. I mean, they weren't the worst parents, but fucking hell, they believed in severe punishment. They believed kids should be silent, no opinions. Well, good luck with that one, because fucking hell, and that's where the punishment came in, because I wasn't silent. But yeah, it wasn't a especially happy childhood that I had. And then primary school, primary school was alright. I was quite clever actually. I did well in primary school. I had a reading age of 15 when I was 8. So, my parents did something right. Reading books was encouraged at home. So, I did alright in primary school. Albeit with some strange habits. Like, I had a blinking habit. I would constantly blink. That went on for a while. The teachers had to pull us aside and ask, what was the matter. I think it was just anxiety from shit that was happening at home, My mum and dad fighting and all that, and getting braid off my door quite a lot. And anyway, I had another habit of licking my lips till they were fucking sore and scabby. I grew out of them habits, thankfully. I think. But no, I did. But secondary school, fucking hell, man, I really lost it in secondary school. That leap from primary school to comprehensive was just awful, man. It was like going from the playground, like a theme park, to a prison. It was fucking horrible. I hated comprehensive. I hated it. I went to a big school, 2,000 kids. It was chaotic. It was fucking miserable. It was awful. The walls were grey, the floors were grey, the uniform was grey. It was just fucking awful. Everybody it was dog eat dog. There was bullying all over the place. If you weren't bullied, you had to be good at sports, or you had to be good at fighting, or you had to be funny if you wanted to avoid getting bullied. Well, I was alright at sports, not great. I suppose I was alright at fighting, not great. But I used to love having a laugh. And I sort of got by, by having a laugh. And I discovered that having a laugh, being daft, was actually, a good way to plough your way through life. So that became me. I was just a fucking complete idiot. Initially, I did really well in secondary school, and then I was relegated because I just carried on too much. And all this was set to the backdrop of the miners' strike and all that. So we were poor at home, and lots of fucking shit going on. And I got into shoplifting in my teens. That went on for 2 or 3 years. I got into drinking at an early age. Fucking hell, drinking at 13, 14. Getting up to all sorts. And basically I went off the rails, but without going off the rails too much. I was never expelled from school. I was on report a lot. I got physically punished a few times. Had the truant officer to the house because I truanted a lot. I was fucking, in my last 2 years at school, I was barely in attendance at all. Truanting prolifically. So I was getting into bother for that. I remember going in to getting called into the head of house's office, and he said, "Do you know what you're here for?" No. He says, "Does this give you a clue?" And he opened a file, and there was a pile of fucking notes, pile of letters, loads that I'd wrote myself. Supposedly from my mum or my dad, Usually my mum, I think. I used to pretend I was my mum. I'd wrote them all myself so I could truant. Gary was off school for the last 3 days because he had a gammy leg. Anyway, fucking hell, I was a bit lost in secondary school. I left school early. I never sat most of my exams. The ones I did sit, well, I wasn't even entered for my exams. The teachers didn't enter us because I hadn't done the work, because I truanted that much. So I wasn't entered for my exams. The ones I was entered for was only a couple, I think. In fact, Mum and Dad might have actually paid to have us sit a couple of exams because I wasn't entered for them. I think you could pay to do them. That might have happened, but regardless, I failed them all. I failed the ones I did sit. So I came out of school with nothing. Well, I got one CSE, I think, in environmental studies, which was fucking useless anyway. So yeah, I did shit at school. Came out of school, fucking didn't have anything in the way of prospects. Ended up on a YTS trainee. Fucked that up as well. Carried on like it was an extension of school. Got sacked in the end from that. Ended up a van lad. Passed me driving test when I was 17, so I ended up a van lad, working for this guy who had mobile shops basically going around the estates. I ended up doing that, driving a van, helping on the van initially, but then driving the van, delivering stuff to houses. Fucking hell, that was an experience, believe it. It's gone round some of the roughest estates in the northeast. Meadowell in North Tyneside. Just before the riots happened, in the late 80s, I was working round Meadowell. Fucking hell, it was rough. I thought bits of Sunderland were rough till I saw Meadowell. And then the riots happened in Meadowell. Fucking national news, you know. And that was just after I'd been working there. And you could see it was brewing up when I was working there, you know. Anyway, yeah. So teens, bit lost. Mental health wise, I didn't understand anything, you know. I was just looking to escape, have a laugh. Got into drinking, gone to town, gone clubbing, got into raving, gone to see bands, late teens, early 20s. I'm still lost, you know. I'm still stuck in this world of escapism. Started taking drugs in my late teens. Fucking hell. One thing probably saved us from an early death, and that's me lass. I met me then girlfriend, now wife, when I was 17. We've been together nearly 38 years, and if it wasn't for her, I think capitalism would have fucked us right up, and I might have ended up either in prison or dead. And thankfully that never happened. Or mentally ill, really seriously mentally ill. That could have happened, you know. Depressed, suicidal, whatever. Could have took me on life. Yeah. We'll never know. That's a different path that never happened. But thankfully I met me stability in life. Vital stability to balance out the instability that was me. Anyway, yeah, capitalism alienates us, denies us control over our destiny. It steals the fruits of our labour. What we create is snatched away from us by rich bosses, and so we end up seeking something else to replace that, looking for fulfilment in other things, and we never find it because it's fundamental what is stolen away from us. And I'm going to leave it there because I'm back at work and I have to do some graft. So that's the end of part 2. See you in part 3 in a bit. Ta-ra.